list those tools, not saying that they are our only options, but then
That'd be good.
maybe people here that are less familiar with them ask questions.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I heard Salesforce, ECM, Genesis. I mentioned something else that I forgot about.
ORC, what is that? I don't know what ORC is.
The
OCR.
document fulfillment app and OCR.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's OCR is the technology that takes a document and reads it, basically pulls off the data, so that then you can have a workflow tool take that data and go do something interesting with it.
Is OCR dependent upon ECM? Are they coupled together, or are they technically separate, or could they be used independently?
They can be used independently, very much so. But it stands for optical character recognition, basically the process of computers reading an image to figure out what it says. And then you can take the what it says and do automation off of that, right?
And each one of these we're listing, like OCR, of course, ECM, they're all, we're not going away. We're trying to put more into them. Correct.
We can only
Yeah.
do anything at the same time.
I mean, we will have, and ECM isn't one tool, by the way. I mean, we talk about it, but it's more like a team or a category of tools that, you know, it really, the team manages the technology that scans documents and reads the characters off of them, OCR. They manage the tools that, you know, validate the, so you scan the document, you pull data off of it. Then there's a tool called Verifier where it loads an image and what it thinks it read, and then a person goes in and validates that, oh yeah, that is actually the license plate. So they verify the information that it pulled off to make sure it's accurate. And then there's the enterprise content tool, which is really the workflow engine that, you know, once you have the data off of it, then you can go create workflows around it, integrate with other systems, database dips, database updates, all that sort of stuff. And then there's the enterprise search tool on the back end, which is the document repository where it saves a copy off that you can search and pull it up for future reference. And that includes document governance capabilities to secure the stuff, to you know, automatically clean up and all that sort of stuff. So it's the category. ECM is a general term for a bunch of different things, right? And those pieces can be used independently. We often don't, but you could bring something in, scan it, OCR, and verify and hand it to Salesforce or something, right?
Who manages OCR, Brian?
It's all Demetrius.
Okay.
And then one other tool that we probably want to include it's more simple, is just a shared mail, like we talked about for Inset, maybe using Microsoft Forms in a shared mailbox or just Microsoft Forms.
Maybe listed as, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Listed as MS tools, because then we can say OneDrive, shared mailboxes, forms, SharePoint.
Or even some of these might be a SharePoint thing, like.
Yeah.
I agree.
Amanda, could you put Zoom Phone underneath Genesis as a separate one when you're done?
Absolutely.
Does Teams come into play here at all?
I think that's part of MS Tools.
Is it? Okay. I mean, it's there, but is there any excitement about trying to integrate some of that with this too, to go a notice out? Or
the business really isn't working out of Teams, right? They don't have team mailboxes and all those things that IT does. I think that'd be a stretch for them. I mean, I can keep on the list, but I think that's a pretty far stretch.
Do you think if they were able to have some additional value out of it, that it's not just an additional chat tool to them, that would start to encourage use.
Maybe so, Amanda, but Zoom Phone can do a lot of that too, and the business already uses that. Or I shouldn't say Zoom Phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we've got this kind of messy state where we have two chat interfaces for internals that both have a lot of great value. How is there something to be considered toward how it could help evaluate? Because one of the things that we think about, and I'm going to use this as an example, and this is more toward like a CS alert. The field will do very unnatural things to tasks to create awareness, right? And additional actions for things when, there may be some capability to have some integration with one of the chat tools to help integrate notifications, awareness, summarization, different things that could be really helpful to help people work on these efforts and resolve client efforts.
Quickly.
Yeah.
But they don't use things similarly enough.
Well, Amanda, there is the capability to integrate Zoom and Teams more. And I think if we had a good use case, we could revisit that. So in other words, it wouldn't matter what client the user was on, it would come through as a chat to them, to whichever tool they're using. So I could send you something from Teams and you could receive it on Zoom.
Amanda, is this where you wanted us to bring up Slack?
Oh no.
Hey, now, don't go there.
Not going there, but it does. So just purely, and I've let them know we are not interested in procuring this. I would like to understand what kind of workflows and different things exist, because if it exists for Slack, it exists in other chat type tools, potentially maybe not to the same degree. And so that's some of that spinning up workflows, right? How to help Swarm, if you will, which is essentially what people do when they create a CS alert. Then they mention everybody in the branch, and then they get an additional email, they get a notification, like just all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's like, that's probably not the best way to work that. So just trying to understand what those integrations and workflows could be.
Fleet Web? That'd be another one we want to put down there.
Yeah, I think our existing Java applications, which include Fleet Web, Edge, etc.
I kind of, on the website, my question is, that tends to be a mirror of processes, not necessarily a handler of processes.
Today, right? There's lots of pressure to change that and open that up to interact with clients and allow us to take requests and upload documents and do more interesting things through the website.
But isn't that going to be contingent upon where some of these things end up versus the website itself doing it?
Yeah, potentially.
Where you go like the Experience Cloud. I mean, or we could put a page out there and they could pull that into Fleet Web or something, use that for all of our shared stuff we're doing, flows. That kind of where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely a great option. Or in essence, Fleet Web could do what they want, and we could have that out there and wrap it back in with the others.
Should we also add our ITSM tool in here?
You absolutely can, because I know Carla's going to say, just give me a queue in there. Then I can do everything I need to do without you.
We already have overlap between solutions. There's already some level of integration.
Yeah, I'm just being a smarty.
Yeah, not that we would want to put a lot of business work into there, but certain processes that may make sense.
Yeah. Lease adjustments is probably the number one that I can think of.
Share well, right?
Yes.
You didn't close that door on me with the API. It's good.
And I'm asking this like as in a safe space sort of thing. Sharewell's being sunset, is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sharewell was bought by
Right.
Avanti, and we will have to make a decision in the next couple of years to look at another tool. So we are going to go down that road here shortly, and we'll have more details down the road. But almost anything we would look at would have an API and work similarly. So I don't think the tool matters too much here. It's just how the tool's applied.
Wasn't it
Absolutely.
2026, something like that?
2025.
Oh, so end of 2025 or when?
Yeah, it's
December.
October.
Yeah.
Oh, December.
Mhm.
And it's October 2024 for asset management, which we really don't use their full asset management.
So we really have effectively 2 years to
Yes.
be off of it and have something else in place.
Yes, it'll be our next biggest priority since now that we have the upgrade done.
Are they trying to entice you to use the new solution they have over there? Is it?
Oh, they're trying.
But they're not giving you any incentive to do it
No.
at all. And they've only had 60 other customers actually migrate to it. I pushed really hard to get a number because they kept saying a lot of people, and I kept pushing. And they finally gave us the number. It's 60 customers so far.
Maybe they don't have that many customers, so maybe 60 is a lot still.
When we went to them, they were in the thousands. So
Just kidding.
yeah.
Other tools?
I'm sorry.
Any other tools we can think of?
I mean, any warehouse data warehouse looker. I mean, I mean, that again, we just want to understand if there's anything there. Like, reports are just what I'm really thinking about in that area.
I think that pulls. I guess you could put report center possibly.
Yeah, I mean, as far as tools that include workflow-like capabilities, I can't think of anything else than what we've already outlined on the list. But I do think, like Report Center, there'll be a number of things we'll have to interface with. They just don't necessarily include workflow capabilities, right?
Take an example, Ryan and team. Payables. These invoices are coming in for IT stuff. I mean, just use that example for a minute. What would be in your mind on that, something like that, replacement wise?
So you bring that up, and that reminds me we forgot a tool on the list, and that's PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft has workflow approval routing capabilities.
Cool. There you go.
We actually did that a while for our payables. It wasn't engineered very well, and frankly, was not quite as easy to use, but it worked.
They may have had some enhancements since then that would help.
Yeah.
And then that can keep accounting people and accounting software even,
Yeah.
right?
That was many years ago. And frankly, it was kind of done quick and dirty, and Bob and I were logging into PeopleSoft regularly to approve invoices, and it just wasn't quite as open and flexible. So we fell back to ServiceNow. But I think that's a very valid solution to your point for things that are only financial based, right?
Yeah. That's a few areas that we were thinking about there. Just how do we got what's open to us.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Good call out.
What about ICE? I'm just throwing it out there. I have no idea.
About what? Say that again.
ICE,
For risk management.
yeah.
Risk
I mean-
management doesn't have anything in ServiceNow currently. So the only overlap might be something for like insurance cards for L&T for one of their processes.
I mean, you could add that under our Java tools. I mean, that in my mind, that kind of falls in the bucket with our other custom developed applications that we could extend or use, right, to do some of this.
And in my mind, I'm just thinking through this just one more time. If I'm parsing through this list and we go things to enter and route, there's Salesforce, Genesis, Zoom doesn't route, or does?
It has some contact center like capabilities and extensions and stuff like that.
OCR, ECM would be more. Would that be more of a? I've got something, you want to enter it in some other system, but parse it and put it into those systems afterward. Do they do entry routing type stuff too as well up front?
ECM will, won't it?
Yeah, ECM is very much a full workflow tool.
I mean, they work out of queues and stuff out of there, right? Like, hey, here's your queue to open up, and here's your stuff
Yeah.
that's on top, and you work it, and then it goes somewhere else afterwards.
Yeah, I think if when you look at it, it's actually very mature and pretty impressive, honestly.
Brad, going back to Zoom and Genesis, I don't think of them as much as workflows as I do systems that can facilitate communication for these other tools.
But they have queuing mechanisms. They have the ability to handle out work, report
They
on
do.
when it's done. I don't know that I'd want a long-term record in there, right? Usually those are, I work this and it goes away, but
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
And you have a note there, Amanda, JSAD. I presume that is a reference to Java Sells App Dev.
Yes.
I would probably just put Java because I
Okay.
think the various tools fall in several different Java teams,
Okay.
not just Java sales.
True.
Team, we only got 2 minutes. Let's talk about just next steps, getting back together the next time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess first, does everybody feel like this has been helpful to kind of set the stage of the scope of the problem and which is huge and and the goals? Any questions there?
When are you gonna be done?
That's what we have to figure out, right? Is what is our strategy? What does the plan look like? And what is it going to take so we can turn it into a project, get approval for it, and start running, right? Next steps. I mean, I think it probably makes sense to schedule a follow-up conversation like this. And now that we've set the stage, discussed background, got everybody on the same page, maybe we can all put some thought into this. Share the spreadsheet you have, Brad. Share those things out with the group.
Sure.
And then we can all look at it and come back together and maybe start talking through specific cues and examples and just going through the list.
Kind of now that we've kind of got some baseline, we can kind of try to fit some of these into where we want to go.
I mean, does that make sense to everybody?
Then would it be helpful if that one that we were reviewing kind of got consolidated a little bit more, cleaned up and sent back out for everybody to review? Gabrielle, can I maybe get you to help me with that? Yeah, thank you.
Falco, you don't mind putting this back together next call?
Not at all. I will send out an invite after Thanksgiving as soon as I see some availability, and I'll try not to do an 8 a.m. guys. That's a little bit of a dig at Brad.
Thanks, Falco.
It's fine with
Working
me.
hours.
I mean, I don't mind.
I was thinking 7:30 next time. Gee whiz.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Fine with me too. So.
Considering we used to have in-person meetings at 8, which also required driving places and sitting in traffic, I'm like, I fail to understand people's apology for 8 o'clock when it's
Fine.
virtual.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Good
Well,
call.
that sounds like a good plan.
All right.
And
Thanks, y'all.
same group for the invite.
I think so. I mean, if there's anybody else you feel that should be pulled in, you know, that's fine. Trying to not make it too big of an audience, at least while we're trying to form the strategy, because it can just get hard, right?
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.